Hi, I'm Melody.
I'm Candy.
And I'm Gabe.
And you're listening to
Quirks.
Bumps.
and Bruises.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today to Quirks, Bumps, and Bruises. And today we want to shine the spotlight a little bit over here on my good buddy, Melody Vaughn, because you have had some major life changes and scheduling changes and just all kinds of fun stuff happening in your life, really in just the past, month, 2 months? Very different from what you were doing a few months ago. And it's just, I have to say, I think you're liking it pretty well, aren't you?
Well, it is a change. It is a change. Let me just go back for a little bit. Let me go back about 2.5 years ago. I have been a worship leader at the time 2.5 years ago for like 34 years. I have been worship leader of a church and have loved that position. Absolutely loved it. I don't think you can do anything for 34 years and not love it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And this is the church you grew up in.
Yes.
So this is the only church you have ever known, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was just an involvement, really. And I did that position without ever having a music lesson. So I can say first and foremost that if God has called you to do something, even if you are not equipped in any way, shape, or form, He will give you what you need to do the position. And I fought Him on that because I was scared out of my mind. I was only in my 20s, scared out of my mind to lead a choir. I've never even had a music lesson. You know, it was just crazy, but it happened. And so 34 years later, I said, you know what? You just know when it's time. I'd always ask the Lord to put that in my heart that when it was time to step away, that I would just know. And I did. I just knew. Now, I loved the position, but I also loved working with our pastor because he happens to also be my son-in-law.
Right.
So one of the most favorite things about that position, especially in the last 5 years, has been able to work alongside him. And you know him, and he's just a wonderful, anointed 33-year-old, you know.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
I resigned on January 12th of 2020. Well, y'all know what happened. Within just a few weeks of that resignation, I was going to stay at the church. I just wanted to step away from that role. Now, in my head, I know that how hard it is to find worship leaders. I really kind of thought it would be a year. So I was in my head thinking I was going to give it would probably take a year anyway.
Right.
Well, COVID hit, and who's going to hire during that? You know,
especially in the church world.
Yes. Well, and then, you know, churches closed down for a couple of months just to try to get our bearings because nobody knew what in the world was going on. I mean, we were all like, what is going on? And so that January 12th ended up fast forwarding to 2.5 years later until God just perfectly and beautifully and gracefully choreographed the perfect person to fit into the role of worship leader. And so on July the 24th of this year, which was just a few weeks ago, it became my last Sunday as worship leader after 36 years now, actually 36 and a half years since I began that position. And the church gave me just this beautiful Sunday. It started off with a breakfast, and lots of friends came to that shocked me, and friends and family that I hadn't seen in a good while. And so we had breakfast, and then the service was a longer service, and they surprised me with some videos. One was a former music minister who is now on staff at Liberty University in the worship department or music department, I should say. And Dr. Dan Suttles is his name, if you're in the Lynchburg area and know him. And so he did a video because he was really my mentor. He was the one that was there that guided me and pushed me into leading music and singing even. And so he did a video. They reached out to him, and he did this really nice video that they played. And then my brother that's in the military couldn't be there for the service, and he sent in a video. And so just lots of great things happened that day. And so I stepped out of that position. Well, then, so that was on a Sunday. Well, then I had scheduled to take a few days off. I just wanted a few days off to breathe.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I want not a couple of weeks, just 3 or 4 days that I could just take a breath and breathe. So that last day was on Sunday. Well, then on Tuesday, I got a call from my son that said, Stephanie and I are in the hospital, and her water has broken, and we're going to have a baby really fast. And that baby was a month early. Now, this is my second grandchild that I haven't really even talked about yet. So this is my second grandchild and another little boy. And so I went right in from that retirement to, oh, wait. I've got a lot going on here.
Didn't quite get those days off you were expecting, did you?
No. And then the very next week is when I had already committed to keeping my first grandson, Benson. I'm going to be keeping him 3 days a week. So have I retired? No, I think I might be more busy now than I was when I was working.
I hear that more times than not. That happened with my dad. He said, I'm busier now than when I was working.
I know. My dad said the same thing, and he's 91 and a half, and he's still busy. So, because, you know what I think happens a lot when people retire, then I think other people think, oh, they're retired, we'll ask them. And so you just end up being even busier. But it's a great time in my life because being a part of my grandchildren's life is extremely important to me because in this day and age, it does take a village.
Oh, yeah.
To try to nurture these kids and to make sure that they know that Jesus loves them and is there for them and that he's faithful. You just got to keep doing it. You got to keep putting it in their brains, because there are so many distractions going on trying to pull them from that. But getting back to the retirement and being somewhere in a job position for that long, that's kind of unusual these days to stay in a position that long.
Oh, yeah.
I would just ask you, Gabe, you're 34. You just turned 34, and you started working at what age?
I had my first job at 15.
At 15. So from 15 to 34, how many jobs have you had?
Oh, my goodness.
More than 10?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, Gary says, my husband says, when you like something, you just keep it. I said, that's why I'm still married to you all these years.
Yeah.
That's
a big
keep
compliment to him. Yeah.
I know. And he's the same way. So he has been in the airline industry since, I can't even remember the year, but I do know, because we were just talking about it the other day, he's just celebrated 38 years. In the airline industry. And I just know that there's just not many people I know that's done any job for 36, 38 years. I kind of think my husband and I are in the minority.
Oh, you are for sure.
But, and I'm not saying that's better than anything else. I think you go where God leads you to go. And that may be 10, 15 jobs within a certain amount of time. But for me, it's just been all of the positions. I've been here at Joy FM for 15 years, getting ready to celebrate that in just a couple of weeks. And I've just always said, Lord, when it's time to go, just prick my heart to know that, to just know, because I always want to stay in a position while I have the passion to do it. So if the passion leaves, I know it's time for me to leave, especially in ministry. I feel like that's been the majority of what I've done my whole life is ministry. So if I ever lose that passion to encourage others or, to let others know the love of Jesus in a very bold way as we get to do on the radio each and every day, then I know it's time for me to step away.
So we'll just say that you're semi-retired because, of course, you're still here at Joy FM. And retirement, I guess, hasn't quite looked even like you thought it would. So let's take back to your mindset, January 2020. You think, okay, I want to stop being here at the church. What in your mind did you think your life would look like once that happened? Yeah,
because it didn't happen that way at all. Again, January 12th, 2020, I resigned. In my head, I thought, and you know what they say, just if you want to see God laugh, tell him your plans.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But in my head, I thought a year later, probably within the year, we would have someone in that position. And then I'll have a year, because at that time, my daughter was not pregnant.
Right, yeah,
right?
You weren't even expecting grandchildren at that point.
No. So in my head, I thought I'll have at least a year, possibly 2 years, to still be at Joy FM. And then when I leave Joy FM in the mornings, after the morning show, I've got time to get all these things done. And I had a list.
Oh, yeah.
I had a household list of things, I wanted to go through drawers and closets and get rid of things and organize. And you know me, I love to organize stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to organize you now for how many years?
Lost cause.
But I really wanted to try to just get some things done in my house that because I'm so busy, I had to let go of.
was trying anything new in the kitchen one of those plans? Because you love to cook and you're an excellent cook, but is there something you would like to try that you've never had the time, like a style or a way of cooking or something that you're like, okay, I need to learn this technique or whatever? Anything like that?
Not that so much as being able to, I love to cook, but I love to cook without rushing. Mm-hmm. And because of my 2 ministry jobs, church and Joy FM, sometimes my weeks were 60-hour weeks.
Oh, yeah.
For a long time, I've done that. And so by the time I get home, at 5 o'clock usually, because I would leave Joy FM, and then I would go to my church job and then work there another 4 to 5 hours, and then get home between 4:30 and 5 usually every day. First of all, I'm exhausted because, as you know, we get up at 4 a.m. Second, the last thing you really want to do when you're tired like that is cook.
That's why you keep a stockpile of frozen pizzas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what happens in my house.
Exactly. Or Stouffer's mac and cheese, and cut up a few hot dogs and stick it in there. But
it's a delicacy.
Yeah, exactly. So I love to cook, but I don't like to cook exhausted, and I don't like to cook rushed. Mm-hmm. So one thing I was looking forward to was leaving Joy FM, going home and being organized with my cooking so that I could cook 2 or 3 things, put them in the freezer, and just keep stockpiling my freezer with casseroles and soups and sauces. And so you could just pull out some spaghetti sauce and make pasta one night, or, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I could get myself organized where that would be easy to get dinner ready when I did, get home.
And you also like to do place settings of all kinds of frou-frou stuff, as I call it. I can just make a supper and get the styrofoam plate over there. You're good. But I imagine you, even on a normal night when Gary, y'all sat down to supper, that you would have a centerpiece and have nice dinner. Oh, well, okay, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I have to say, no. I only do that.
Or those just for special occasions?
No, I only do that. I'm going to tell you something here in a second that you're going to find shocking, I say. Shocking. But when I have people over for dinner, I do love a place setting. It doesn't have to be fancy necessarily, but I do love doing some cool things. I like a charcuterie board as the centerpiece, and that's your dinner that night, that kind of thing. But you're going to find this very shocking. When I fix dinner every night, now let me say this, my kids are gone. They're grown and out of the house, and now it's just my husband and I. I cook dinner, I put it on the counter, we fix our plate, and then we go and sit in the den in front of the TV.
You don't even eat at the table?
No.
I am shocked.
I know.
Shocked, I say.
Now, sometimes we may, but now, I think that means I've gotten old. When you're eating dinner and watching the nightly news, I think it means you have officially entered into old age. I'm pretty sure.
That does surprise me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. That I have to be honest about.
Do you have those TV trays? Like Mama used to always have these trays that clip up, and you can.
I know what you're talking. No, I don't know. I just kind of hold my plate and eat it right. It's like a trough. I just eat it right from the plate.
Well, now I know what to get you for Christmas.
TV trays?
Yeah.
Well, I had some TV dinners along with that. But yeah, that's something that I had in my head, that I was going to really start stockpiling some frozen food to have easily available if you had a busy day, especially now keeping a grandbaby.
Yeah.
And so that didn't happen either.
Right.
So really nothing happened that I thought in my head was going to happen. In fact, all that went completely away. And I went from leaving my position at church to just diving right into the second position. But in a way, I told my daughter it could be good because I could have gotten a little lazy. I got to thinking about that. If I'd have had 2 years.
That lull
of going home and just doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. If I wanted to sit and watch a movie, or if I wanted to take a nap or anything like that, I could have gotten used to that really fast.
And you could have gotten in some trouble too, because idle hands are devil's playhouse. You know that, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And I know you.
I know. I know that too. So I told her, I said, I think God probably worked that out perfectly because I'm just used to working. I'm used to just going and doing, and I didn't have to get adjusted to that. I had to get adjusted to a different schedule, but I didn't have to get adjusted to being exhausted. I'm still exhausted, people. Still exhausted.
Thanks for listening to the Quirks, Bumps, and Bruises podcast with Melody, Candy, and Gabe. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast. You can learn more at joyfm.org.
Try Peas and Carrots podcast for more encouragement. Brian and Kayla share life from their piece of the vegetable patch. Expect a laugh, find common ground, and hear stories you can't wait to share. It's a podcast about doing life together, growing in Christ together, and learning to laugh no matter what comes your way. Search Peas and Carrots podcast wherever you listen to podcasts today.